I'd also like to bring in the Law Centres Network to talk about what's been working for law centres in terms of supporting remote service delivery, particularly kind of because they have this specialist legal advice service focus amongst their network. So Emily, would you be able to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure, Jane. Sure. Thanks, Martha. So a couple of quick things, a couple of quick lessons. In preparing for today, we kind of wanted to touch on not just sort of the law centre experience, but also our experience as a membership organisation. So many of the same findings that sort of Claire and James have shared about sort of what's been working well and the types of meetings that you've hosted and facilitated discussions around is something similar that we've done at LCN. But in terms of lessons to share, we want to touch on three things. So the first is because of the changes to the Housing Court Duty Desk, obtaining remote representation has presented an issue for many clients. And before litigants could present at court, there was somewhere they could go for help. But now, no matter how good the tools are, it really is quite difficult to overcome those psychological barriers to seeking advice that the physical presence of having a housing desk can overcome. Needless to say, many law centres have done a really great job at transitioning well, using Microsoft Teams to sort of facilitate their remote desk, and Southwest London are a sort of a prime example of that. The second sort of lesson for us in terms of the process of transitioning over to delivering advice remotely really comes from Sheffield Citizens Advice and Law Centre. And we've sort of followed their process of co-designing their services with their advisors. And that's highlighted some key considerations that I thought it would be sort of useful to share today. So the first is sort of this mindset shift that's happened within the organisation. It's sort of presented as an experiment, a sort of solution finding project in terms of trying to find the right way of delivering advice remotely. And that's helped everyone sort of identify assumptions that they might make early on and really focus energy on user research. The second thing that's kind of come out of that work with Sheffield has been on the use of mapping out the service. And it's really highlighted sort of concerns at each stage and presented opportunities for doing things a little bit differently. And it's broken down that transition into sort of manageable chunks. And this is sort of what Claire touched on. There were a number of sort of policy and procedural aspects. So, you know, things, sort of considerations around data protection. So, you know, conducting a DPIA and ensuring that sort of the global settings were updated, issuing guidance for both users and staff, thinking through client consent, safeguarding concerns, how supervision was going to run, and sort of those ethical concerns as well about delivering advice remotely. So if clients preferred phone, if lawyers preferred phone as well, why push video on them? Sort of another thing that's come out of specifically that project with Sheffield has been the importance of sort of engaging all staff in that transition and developing some sort of testing script and having a place for all of the feedback to go and to consider that sort of on a regular basis through sort of weekly meetings. So they were kind of some of the operational challenges and key aspects about transitioning to delivering advice remotely. And then I think as well, this was sort of picked up by LawWork. So for us as a membership organisation, we've really identified the importance of sort of peer support and facilitating opportunities for members to sort of share their experience. And we've recognised that sort of delivering advice services digitally impacts not only service beneficiaries, but also those staff. And so what was, you know, the plastic bag of documents has now become sort of several emails with various attachments. So that means sort of engaging all staff in ensuring that they have the skills and capacity to deal with that sort of new challenge. So in order to do that, we've been experimenting with a couple of different ways to sort of facilitate that community and collaboration. We've had managers meetings, we've had operations clinics, we've had one-off sessions focused on specific topics. We've also sort of run sort of lunch and learn innovation series, and that's sort of our work on sort of peer support. In terms of what's next for us, so we're focused on making law centres as resilient as possible, and we will be kicking off sort of phase 4 of our IT upgrade project, and that's going to see a couple of law centres, or a number of law centres rather, upgrade their IT equipment and receive one-to-one support. We're also looking at the adoption of several systems across law centres that can help out with day-to-day, so back office administration, inquiry management, and so on. And we're continuing sort of network-wide connection and collaboration, and we hope to launch the new and improved members area sort of mid-April time. So hopefully we can come back next time and share with this group our progress. Thanks.